Hello, everyone. You're listening to Cinema 5000. My name is Mallory. Let's talk about some movies. I just want to have a little note. There is a lot of construction going on in my neighborhood right now, so if you hear some backup signals or something, I apologize. Obviously, me speaking is going to be louder than that, but there might be some chatter in the background. What are we at for the count? We're at 5,754 films, and I have 5 movies to talk to you about on this episode. I apologize that this doesn't have like a newer movie. Usually I try to get like 1 or 2 in, but man, life has just been not so not so great when it comes to my movie plans. This weekend I do definitely have a plan to see a newer movie, something I've been wanting to see for a bit, and we'll talk about it then. So where do we start with the 5 films? We're starting with Stand By Me from 1986, directed by Rob Reiner. The tagline is, for some, it's the last real taste of innocence and the first real taste of life. After learning that a boy their age has been accidentally killed near their rural homes, 4 Oregon boys decide to go see the body. On the way, Gordy, Vern, Chris, and Teddy encounter a mean junk man in a marsh full of leeches, as they also learn more about one another and their very different home lives. Just a lark at first, the boys' adventure evolves into a defining event in their lives. I have to say, this is probably the movie I have seen the most, but never seen in full. It's been on cable, I don't know, a billion times. Any network you can think of besides Comedy Central. I want to say like TNT, USA, just always on TV, and maybe even WSBK, like the smaller stations in the area. It's just always been on TV, and I think it's always been on TV because it's a movie that, to edit it for television, you really only have to cut maybe 1 or 2 frames out of the film, and then the editing of the conversations just to tone them down a little bit, because these are teenage boys. They're very frank in their conversations and their feelings on things and the language they use. Not too hard to edit. And plus, this is a Stephen King adaptation from his story The Body. And then we have a notable cast with Will Wheaton, River Phoenix, Corey Feldman, and Jerry O'Connell, as well as Kiefer Sutherland as our main characters. The boys, they are Jerry O'Connell, very young as Vern, Teddy, played by Corey Feldman, Chris, played by River Phoenix, and Gordy, played by Will Wheaton. And Will Wheaton is Gordy, who in the beginning of the film we learn is this writer, and he's recalling that summer where at the end of the the last weekend the boys had of freedom before Labor Day, they went in search of this body on like a overnight trek. And in this trek, these boys learn things about themselves, they discuss life, and they're all sort of coming to terms with what the future may hold for them. And the writer, Gordy himself, he is very confused about how to pursue his life, because he's kind of looked down upon for like his hobbies and activities. And his buddy Chris, played by River Phoenix, is just like, believe in yourself, just do what you want to do. And this is a very sweet and charming film. I know I had not seen this in full, but I'm glad I finally watched it, because I just don't think anything had really stuck with me besides the visuals, because I just wasn't really familiar with what the structure of this was about. I am familiar with the story that Stephen King wrote, and I've read a number of Stephen King books and short stories and such. But this nostalgia in this one, it's a really, really nice kind of nostalgia, even if it's about such a difficult subject, because it feels like it's really not afraid to just, go through the motions of what these boys are feeling, and how are their lives impacted by this change in their time right before the end of summer, and then this moment of what's happening to them. So I would highly recommend this. I gave this 3.5 stars. I got this as a DVD copy from my local library because they had it, and I was like, yeah, this is the time. This is when I should watch this. Has this had like a very, solid release, like a 4K or anything like that? I want to say no. If it has, I apologize, but I feel like this is something that is kind of, I've just only seen it for the first time, but I can understand completely why a lot of people hold this in like high accolades, maybe like about their nostalgia and something they enjoyed when they were younger. And as someone who is now in their 40s, I can completely understand it. Like, I was only a baby when this came out, so I don't have like that lingering nostalgia for it. I am only familiar with it, of course, like I said, from all the times I've seen parts of it on cable. Just never really got the chance to see it then, but I think it's something that can speak to younger people and also older people, and yeah, you should check check it out. Stand By Me from 1986, directed by Rob Reiner. As I said, I gave this 3.5 stars. And this should be out there on streaming. It's on Max right now, I know that. And I'm kicking myself because I didn't watch the DVD with a commentary, which if I can recall, I think I had a commentary by Rob Reiner, or maybe Stephen King, or both. I can't remember. It had some good features, but I had to take it back. I just didn't get the chance to check those out. So maybe there's a better release of this. I don't know. This is just a really solid film, and it's not even one, people are so hung up these days, I feel, about run times. You can't get a better 89 minutes than this one. Oh yeah, I should also mention that Richard Dreyfuss is in this, as well as John Cusack. So yeah, really solid, nice film. Yeah, but it is a nice film. Okay. Up next, we have Shattered from 1991, directed by Wolfgang Petersen. The tagline is, "A love he can't forget, a murder he can't remember." Dan Merrick comes out from a shattering car accident with amnesia. He finds that he is married to Judith, who is trying to help him start his life again. He keeps getting flashbacks about events and places he can't remember. He meets pet shop owner and part-time private detective Gus Klein, who has supposedly done some work for him prior to the accident. Klein helps Merrick to find out more. Might seem like a simple kind of plot here. This is sort of like it's a sexually charged thriller with not a lot of sex in it, but so Tom Berenger plays Dan, and he seems like a pretty, nice guy, pretty average kind of husband. He's married to Judith, who's played by Greta Scacchi, and she's just trying to help him feel comfortable as he recovers, and he's been pretty banged up from the accident. They even go to the site of where the car is. I don't know why the car was still there, where they got in the car accident. But, something just isn't quite right in his life, and he makes a discovery one day that makes him question everything in the world around him. And I have to say, this movie takes a little bit to get going, a bit of a slow burn, but I appreciate the slow burn because it really set things up so we can really understand Dan's feelings. He's really conflicted because he doesn't want to necessarily suspect his wife because she's so loving and wonderful, but everything that's sort of happening around him, it just feels off. He knows something is wrong, and we know something is wrong. And when the twist of this movie is revealed, oh my goodness. Now, it's not very realistic, but I will say, in a movie universe where crazy things happen and people may not be what they seem, I fully accepted it. It was very fun. For a movie from 1991, I mean, you back then, I'm sure this was like shocking. But you can make this movie in our present time. There's just too many things regarding that twist that, would instantly come to mind and make you think, about technology and the way that life works. And, technology in like a crime sense, how we investigate things, and then like humans and, how things work in, okay, I won't say it, but, yeah, this is a bonkers movie. I had a lot of fun with this. It has some nice cinematography in San Francisco. Yeah, San Francisco, Pacific Northwest. Like, we've got Golden Gate Bridge. Just a really, really solid, fun film. And I need to mention that Gus Klein, the private detective who owns a pet shop, is played by the wonderful Bob Hoskins. Like, a really fantastic supporting performance for him here. I've watched a bunch of Bob Hoskins films. Shout out to my friends. We all watch our Bob Hoskins films. And I don't recall if this was ever watched. I don't think it was. But this is just, it's textbook classic Bob Hoskins. He's like such a great supporting actor. He's definitely been missed because he's passed away some years ago, and yeah, they just don't make him like they used to. This is good times. I gave this 3 stars. It's not really a horror. It's more of like a dramatic thriller with some slight obsession qualities to it. And it does get a little a little ridiculous, but I think in a very fun way that movies can be fun. So Shattered from 1991, directed by Wolfgang Petersen. I gave this 3 stars. And if you don't know about Wolfgang Petersen, if you're not familiar with his work, he's directed movies such as Troy, Das Boot, which I think is like one of the greatest movies ever made. And I really love The Neverending Story as well. That's like a personal favorite of mine all time. Air Force One, In the Line of Fire, Outbreak, The Perfect Storm. I've never seen The Perfect Storm. I should watch that. That's another movie I have just never seen all the way through, thanks to cable and such. Enemy Mine. He did the Poseidon remake. I need to watch the Poseidon Adventure, the remake. I really, really should. But I really appreciate Wolfgang Petersen's craft. I think he's a great filmmaker. And yeah, Shattered's a good time. Up next, we have American Made from 2017, directed by Doug Liman. The tagline is, "It's not a felon if you're doing it for the good guys." The true story of pilot Barry Seal, who transported contraband for the CIA and the Medellin cartel in the 1980s. This stars Tom Cruise as Barry Seal, seemingly a just regular everyman guy pilot who then gets into drug running and smuggling across borders through his plane. And I really hated this movie. I didn't hate it, but I found a lot of it just very unremarkable. Tom Cruise not really great in this one. Didn't really care for the script. Most of the characters are pretty standard. Nothing really exciting or interesting about them. And we've got people like Domhnall Gleeson in this, Jesse Plemons, and then, well, Caleb Landry Jones, who I really don't like in anything, unfortunately. Sorry, Caleb Landry Jones. For what this is, it just feels like a miss. It just feels very, like I said, unremarkable, just really not interesting, and I apologize about the noise in the background if you're hearing it. But yeah, I think this is not a good film. It's not very, how shall I say it? It just feels very, very typical. Like, there's no surprises in this. It feels pretty average about, drug smuggling. It feels like it wants to be a more fun version of something like the movie Blow from 2000 to early 2000. Is it 2000 or 2001? Anyway, but it has like music cues, like you expect everything that this movie is going to do when it comes to this technical way, shooting in certain styles, and it's, imagery, and again, the music cues, all that stuff from the 70s and 80s that you kind of expect in a movie like this. So I don't recommend this. Doug Liman back in the day, he made Swingers, he made Go, and now he's doing this very kind of average, typical hired stuff that just really doesn't do anything for me. And yeah, he worked with Tom Cruise before on The Edge of Tomorrow, which I thought was fine, but man, back in the day, Swingers, like, what a great film. And now what has happened? And I think like Doug Liman's doing another movie with Tom Cruise now too, so not so good. American Made from 2017, directed by Doug Liman, gave this 2 stars. I mean, it just doesn't, it's not like necessarily a terrible, awful what's the word? It's not like one of the worst movies that ever made, right? But it just doesn't have anything to make it special. Let's say that. And yeah, I didn't really like Tom Cruise in this part either. Okay, up next we have Valentino from 1977, directed by Ken Russell. The tagline is, "In life he was a movie star, in death he became a legend." In 1926, the tragic and untimely death of a silent screen actor caused female moviegoers to riot in the streets and in some cases commit suicide. Oh boy. So this movie is about the actor Rudolph Valentino, a very famous performer in the silent era of film in like the roaring 20s of cinema, when everything and anything was possible when it came to movie making. The glamour, the extravagance, the debauchery, anything. And this movie has quite the cast, I have to say. So Rudolph Nureyev plays Rudolph Valentino. We also have Leslie Caron, Michelle Phillips, Carol Kane, Seymour Cassel, Peter Vaughn, and I found this movie to be quite amazing. Now, how to explain it? Well, it starts out being the tale of Rudolph Valentino through the eyes of the women who loved him, and he has died. And yeah, it's a real story from the 20s, but it's made very ridiculous and crazy and quite elaborate by the filmmaker Ken Russell, who I have read did not care for this movie, and he thought it was a disaster. In his disaster, though, I see what I love about movies, something very, how shall I say it, just going for it, like go for broke. Like, this movie is very, very beautiful, lovely costuming, glamorous, what's the word, like big performances, especially Leslie Caron. Oh my gosh. It's a movie that wants to be big, and it feels big, it feels amazing, and I loved almost every moment of this, except maybe like the last quarter. Some of the things as it started to wind down wasn't really quite working for me, but its structure and how it talks about Rudolph Valentino from these different perspectives of these people who loved him, I just found like really beautiful and great. And it's a biography that's not like trying to be serious or really about the man himself in the true sense. It's more so the theatrical version of him as a performer and person and lover. And I was like so taken with this movie, even with its flaws. I have this on Blu-ray. I got the Kino Lorber version of the film on Blu-ray, and I don't know if there's any other releases of this in like the last 20 years or so. I have to assume it was like on a bare bones DVD, maybe, but also maybe not. I don't know. As far as streaming, I know this is only available right now on MGM Plus. I had bought the Blu-ray when I heard about the film, and it was easily and affordably accessible for me to get it, because it is selling for a lot of money on the internet. So if you are looking to watch Valentino, get yourself a trial of MGM Plus and check it out. I recommend this. I gave this 3.5 stars, and Ken Russell is just, he is a lot of filmmaker, and his movies feel big, and he's even in this briefly. But this was for me. The warts and all kind of idea of what movie making was back way before the movie industry we know now. And this is like pre-Hays Code. So this is when like everything was very much partying and throwing money at the screen and everybody performing and being a lot in the silent era. And through the eyes of, you know, these women and how they saw Rudolph Valentino in his different places in his career, I was so taken with this. I have to say, though, this would not surprise me if I found out that like somebody watched this based on my recommendation and they hated it. Yeah, because if you are not a fan of Ken Russell, I can see you not liking this. And maybe if you don't find like how movies were made back then to be very exciting, because yeah, there's a lot of good and bad that go with this. For the sake of just some kind of clarification for what I mean, there is a portrayal of Fatty Arbuckle in this, so yeah, it's that. So Valentino from 1977, directed by Ken Russell, just a wonderful film. Great cinematography, lovely costuming. It's just so beautiful. There was one moment in this film that I think is probably one of the most beautiful things I've seen in a movie in years, and I need to take a screenshot of it and put it on the Bluesky or on my website, just to show you what it was. But then again, it's the video, it's the moment of it happening and the motions that I was so taken with this. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad I own the Blu-ray, I'll say that, because I can see myself popping this on again and just being like, yes, give me movie, all this movie. It's a good time for me, at least. Yeah. Okay, our final film is Thunderball from 1965, directed by Terrence Young. Look up, look down, look out. Here comes the biggest Bond of all. A criminal organization has obtained 2 nuclear bombs and are asking for a 100 million pound ransom in the form of diamonds in 7 days, or they will use the weapons. Dun, dun, dun. The Secret Service sends James Bond to the Bahamas to once again save the world. So Sean Connery is back as James Bond, and he is essentially fighting against Spectre. And Emilio Largo, who is the man who has a mistress named Domino, who is James Bond is definitely taken within the Bahamas. And I have to say, I was not a big fan of this film, but I'm grading this on the scale of, would I watch this again over Goldfinger, which is at this point in my James Bond series watching my least favorite Bond film, which I gave 2.5 stars. So Thunderball, well, I think it looks really great. I think they have some great production design in this film. I think it's edited well. It is kind of a snooze for me. I don't know about the script in this one and how things progressed. It could have been a little simpler. It could have been a little shorter. It's pretty long. It's 130 minutes for a movie that doesn't, in my opinion, doesn't have too much of a plot, too much acting going on. It seems like a lot of moments, but nothing really so cohesive. It does have like a very epic underwater fight in the latter part of the film, which I think was good. But the general like idea of like the criminal organization, Spectre in this case, like getting bombs and James Bond trying to defeat Spectre. I mean, it's a familiar, conflict as we've had in the prior films, and I don't think it's really changing the mold. And also, pardon my ignorance, but what exactly is the Thunderball here? I don't think it was ever mentioned in the film, and I look on the Wikipedia and it's not. Maybe it's just the title of the book and that's what they called it. That's a little disappointing. I don't know. It's all right. It's got all the Bond quips we expect, and I think Sean Connery is fine, but I'm also a little tired of Sean Connery, and I can't wait to get to Roger Moore, and I never thought I would say that, but it is what it is. I think Thunderball's all right. Yeah, it's a little bit lower on my James Bond ranking of the films, but as I said, it's better than Goldfinger. So Thunderball from 1965, directed by Terrence Young. I gave this one 3 stars. It's a very, very, very mild recommendation. And From Russia with Love is still my favorite James Bond film at this point. What's the next one? Is it For Your Eyes Only? I think. I gotta look. I should have done this research beforehand. Blah, blah, blah. Let's see. Wow. I did not do the work. Let's see. Let's go back to Sean Connery. Or is it You Only Live Twice? I think is it You Only Live Twice? Okay, don't quote me on that. Anyway, yeah. Well, that is the episode. Oh boy. Yeah, so what's coming soon? More James Bond films, whatever one is next. And I am going to get to the theater. Yes, I think the movie I am going to be seeing next is Mickey 17. And I just Googled You Only Live Twice. That is definitely next. For Your Eyes Only is 1981, so major whiff for me. But, the James Bond films, I'll be watching them all. I'll be talking about them on future episodes. What else? Gosh, what else is coming for April? I gotta look on IMDb and see the calendar, because new month, new movies. What's the deal? I will say though, with all the controversy about Snow White, that only makes me want to see the movie more. And I say that because I don't really think the Disney live action movies are as like deathly horrible as some people say they are, but the ones that I think are very bad are Beauty and the Beast. I think Aladdin's pretty bad. I never saw the Mulan one. I should watch that. Okay, so looking at what's coming soon to theaters, it looks like we just got Minecraft. I'm not seeing that. That's not happening. I don't know. I don't know what's coming that I'll see. Warfare, Amateur. No, that's okay. Maybe I'll see Drop. Like, that looks kind of cheesy in that, smaller horror movie kind of way. Or it's just like this one hook and they really expound on that. But like, I feel like that might actually be a good time. Like, not an excellent time, but just a little fun. So I'll be checking out that. And then I just got actually in the mail. I got the Michael Haneke movie trivia. Sorry, not trivia. The movie trilogy. They had the Criterion Collection sale, and I had so much money to cash in from gift certificates from Criterion, because when you have the Criterion channel subscription, they send you like every once in a while a gift certificate. So I've seen The Seventh Continent, and I don't know if I've seen Benny's video, but there's another movie in here called 71 Fragments of a Chronology of Chance. I'm eager to watch that because I really love Michael Haneke. I love a sad movie. I love a depressing movie, and I'm just excited to check that. And I do own his movie Code Unknown. I have never watched that. Ooh, maybe I should. Oh, that reminds me. Last night I was trying to watch the movie The Front Room, the one starring Brandy, that's directed by Robert Eggers' half-brothers. I think I got about 15 minutes into that movie and I just passed out. I was very tired, but I think that's definitely going to be on the next episode, because that's a movie I've been wanting to watch for a bit. Regardless of like what anybody has said about it, I think I need to see The Front Room. But yeah, that's the episode. Thank you so much for listening. Oh wait, that just occurred to me. We're at the end of the quarter, so the next episode is going to be the rewatch recap episode. So you'll hear me talk about my feelings on From Russia with Love, watching it again, as well as other films that I've seen. I did just recently watch one of my favorite action movies of all time, Ronin. We'll talk Ronin. And all kinds of other stuff. So go to cinema5000.com and check the link for the Letterboxd on there if you want to see what kinds of movies I've been rewatching, and just follow along anyway if you got Letterboxd. Cinema5000.com on the blog. I also have been putting updates on when I upload the YouTube videos on there. On the Bluesky Cinema 5000, you can check out all the links I put up there. And yeah, thank you so much for listening. And if you aren't subscribed as a podcast or YouTube, do subscribe so you know when I provide new podcast episodes, and I'll talk to you soon. Oh, yeah, if you want to send an email, send it to cinema5kpod@gmail.com. My name is Mallory. Thanks for listening. I'll talk to you later. Okay, bye.